Hi everyone, welcome back to Food Feeds. In this video, I'm going to talk about how you can solve the MCQs for any competitive exams. So most of us stick on to studying the MCQs in a similar way, like we study the question and what would be the right answer, and we'll jump to the next question. So in that case, what happens? Only the questions that are similar to the questions you have solved, if they appear in the exam, then you will be able to answer such questions. But if there are some tricky questions, which is a deciding factor in any exam, you probably won't be able to give the right answer and end up giving a wrong answer and lose the marks in negative marking, right? So in this video, I'll be explaining a simple method of studying these MCQs in a better manner. If you're only sticking to solve MCQs for exams, then using this method will definitely help you to answer even the difficult questions that come up in the exams. So whenever an aspirant starts his preparation, the major question will be whether I have to stick on to solving lot number of MCQs or just study the theory part and then go for MCQs. So in my opinion, I would definitely suggest a person to study the theory first and then go for solving the MCQs. For example, if you are selecting a particular topic for the day, let's take an example of rancidity. So if you're covering the theory part, then the same day or the next day, you have to go and solve the MCQs related to the particular topic. So what are the advantages of this? The first thing is, first of all, you gain the confidence about the topic that you have already studied the theory, you have understood the concept, what happens in rancidity, and you also know the chemical reactions. So you have a certain amount of confidence in that certain topic. And when you solve the MCQs, it helps you to understand how much you have retained from that particular topic. And it's like a revision for you. And you'll also come across few questions where you are unable to recall a particular topic. That will help you to understand which of the theory part you need to revise again. And also, if you come across any questions which you're unable to answer, then you will know like which of the theory part is missing. So which topics you have to cover more in the similar topic, right? And you will also know what kind of questions can be expected from that rancidity topic. So this is the benefit. And since after solving these MCQs with whichever reference you prefer, like any objective books, so if any of the twisted questions also come, you're still able to answer it better because you already know the theory part. So that is why I always suggest to study the theory first, cover all the topics, and then go for MCQ solving. And you can also, once you've solved the objective books or the textbooks that you refer for MCQs, after that you can go to the papers, different competitive exam papers, and check for the same topic, like any questions that has come from the rancidity topic, and then you can solve them. Having said that, not everybody can follow this method. Obviously, because it is time consuming. And most of the students who take part in competitive exam is the one who are not even from the food technology background. For them, studying a certain topic it will take a lot of more time than the students who are from the background. That would be the first reason why people can't follow this method. So the second reason would be people are already into jobs. They are working and they just need an upgradation in their job. So they will appear these competitive exams. These people would have lost touch of study for 1 or 2 years already, and getting back to studies after a long gap is very difficult. And especially in the initial years of your working in food industry, it will be definitely 8+ hours of working if you're into shift jobs. And coming back to home after your shift and studying in this way would take a lot of dedication, and it's quite hard to follow a particular schedule in that case. Also, it's a lack of time. Apart from these working professionals, the students also find it hard to follow this method, especially for GATE exam or even in case of ICR JRF, because even though if they are into their student life, even if they are in touch with the subjects and studying, most of the time, especially for GATE, it will be conducted in usually the month of February. And during that time, students will be into their internship, submitting their final projects, working on their research papers. So during that time, giving a complete attention to the exam is quite difficult. Last 2 years, students were really lucky because of the COVID. Most of the people got time to study at home and follow religiously, completing the theory part and then solving MCQs, and have got a better marks and seats compared to the students who were studying like before 2 years. This will not be the case further, right? So these are the reasons why people cannot follow this method. But if you are dedicated enough to follow this method, then this is the best method. You can solve the theory, study the theory and solve the MCQs. But for those who lack time, if their schedule is not matching to study the theory and MCQs, or the people who are from non-food technology background, for such people, you can always go for MCQs, but you can study it in the way that I'll explain you today, so that you will be able to answer even any depth or tricky questions comes up. And this method is my suggestion, but if you can follow this, then you can work on this way. But if you find it difficult, then you can just follow the way you used to before also. So for explaining this method, I have considered the topic carbohydrates, because even non-food technology background students can also relate to this, since they are mostly from the life science background. So all the questions that I have considered are very simple. So let's start with the first one. So here they're asking which class of carbohydrates cannot be hydrolyzed further. So the given options are monosaccharide, polysaccharides, disaccharide, proteoglycan. So this is very simple thing. So the class of carbohydrate which cannot be hydrolyzed further is monosaccharides. So usually after this, we just memorize that, okay, the class of carbohydrates, monosaccharide, will not be further hydrolyzed. Then we go for the next question. So what I'm suggesting you is that once you know the question and answer, you go back to the question and check from which topic of carbohydrate it was asked. So here, since they're asking about the class of carbohydrates, so basically they are asking about the classification of carbohydrate. And then they are basically asked about hydrolyzation. So since monosaccharide is the answer, which cannot be further hydrolyzed, then that means the rest of the three are hydrolyzed. So if these are hydrolyzed, what are the further products you will get once these are hydrolyzed? So these things you can know, and the details which you study from this will definitely help you to answer other questions in future. So what you can learn from this question? So basically the classification of carbohydrates, then you can define each of this. So only one point you can learn from this is that monosaccharide cannot be further hydrolyzed. So you can just add on to the things from your notes or the reference book. What else is monosaccharide for? Like little brief on this. So you can also define all the other three options, like what are they? What are polysaccharides, disaccharides, proteoglycan? So just the definitions you can go through. And also studying these things with example is very important, because most of you have seen, usually they give one of the monosaccharide, polysaccharide, the example of that in the question, and ask whether they are monosaccharide, polysaccharides, or disaccharides, which class they belong to. So it's better to learn these things with examples. And as I told, if they are further hydrolyzed, what are the products formed? So these many things you can cover from this particular question. This is how it will look if you make notes from the MCQ that you study. So you can just note down all the MCQs that you study in this manner and make your own notes, which will be definitely informative in the last moment when you're preparing for any exams. So here for monosaccharides, we also tell them as a simple sugars. So you can just know that they are aldehyde ketone group along with the hydroxyl groups. What are their formula? What is the formula that it represents for? So monosaccharide general formula is CnH2ON, and this is what it was asked in the question. It is not further hydrolyzed. And one of the important information here is most abundant monosaccharide in nature is D-glucose, which is a 6-carbon sugar, and the rest is the examples for monosaccharides. Similarly, for polysaccharides, so they yield more than 10 molecules of monosaccharides. So on hydrolysis, and they are classified into homo and heteropolysaccharides, and their examples you can learn. So next same, disaccharides, their formula and their examples. Similarly, proteoglycan, their definition and their function is mentioned. So it is an important component of intracellular matrix. So here I have included the classification. You can just go to the reference book which you refer. Usually these classification will be given in a flowchart form. So you can just glance through it. This is a simple flowchart which is also posted on FoodFeeds Instagram channel. So you can just go there and save it for your future reference. So by this, you can definitely answer if there are some example-based question asked on these and whether they will ask any other further questions related to these options also. So let's move on to the next question. So here they have asked maltose is a disaccharide of. So for the people who are not from this background, who don't know or who is starting as a fresher for this kind of topics, then the question itself is an information for them that maltose is a disaccharide, right? Then we all know maltose is made of glucose and glucose. So in previous question, we already learned that disaccharides are made of 2 sugar units, right? So how it is helping in the second question? Now, what else we can learn from this? So definitely, again, you can learn all other 3 options. If these sugar units are joined, then what are the other disaccharides formed? And also, glucose and glucose alone, like the combination of these 2 units gives us different disaccharides because of their linkage point, right? So that also you can just jot down. Here it looks like you can just go and read about the disaccharides again and just go for the examples if you haven't remembered it. Then each of these monosaccharide units, for example, in the previous question, we just knew what are disaccharide and just the examples, right? So each example, you can convert it into the monosaccharide units. So here, like maltose, we have just studied in as an example of disaccharide. So in this question, you can go for what are maltose made of, like the monosaccharide units. And if you want to study in depth, then you can go for linkages also. Like at what point, whether it's alpha position or the beta position, the carbon number, in what point the linkages are formed between these 2 monosaccharide units to form the disaccharides. So you can study this also. And the structure-based question, especially in this topic, is asked in many exams. So this is how it will look. So fructose and lactose, there are no disaccharide forms. So glucose and glucose, as I said, maltose. So this is the linkage point. So it will, you can just write it down. And the other examples for the same is cellobiose and trihalose. So here the linkage is between beta 1, 4, and here it is 2 alpha D-glucose units. So as I told, the linkage point will vary and hence different kind of disaccharides are formed and their characteristics will be different. Similarly, here glucose and galactose forms the lactose, and glucose and lactose, there is no disaccharide. So here is the third question. So here they're asking about the invert sugar. So we all know each of the disaccharide or monosaccharide, usually they are also known with the different names. So you can jot down like which are the different names kept for a particular monosaccharide or disaccharides. So here it's very easy. So invert sugar is usually referred to sucrose. So what we can learn from this question is the alternative names of the monosaccharide units and what are invert sugar and how they are formed. So here sucrose is also called as cane sugar, table sugar, saccharose. And here I have mentioned invert sugar because there is a definition where sucrose yield equimolar mixture of glucose and fructose, which is often referred to as invert sugar. So basically the formation of glucose and fructose will give you the invert sugar. But usually the sucrose is referred as invert sugar. Dextrose is the alternative name for glucose. And glucose is dextrose and it is also known as grape sugar. And others also you can just list down. For example, lactose is the usually referred as milk sugar. So here is the next question. I think now you know how to make notes from an MCQ. So here they are asking about the major storage form of carbohydrates in animals. So here we already know the answer. It is glycogen. So you can just study what are the other options. So storage forms of carbohydrates and their examples, their occurrence and storage part. So usually since they're asking about the storage, which part of the body, like in animals or in plants, where are they stored and examples of each. So if you make the notes of this question, it will be like this. So here starch is definitely an important reserve food material in higher plants, cereals and legumes, potatoes, other vegetables. So what are they made of? They are made of amylose and amylopectin. So similarly, chitin, it's usually found in fungi and arthropods. And the main group is N-acetyl amino group. Glycogen, that is found in storage form in the animals. It's also known as animal starch. It is stored in liver, muscles of animals, and they are also made from glucose units. So in the second question, we also know that two glucose unit forms maltose and also trihalose. So you can just connect and remember these things. And cellulose, it's also the most abundant extracellular structural polysaccharide. And they are majorly the cell wall of the plants. They are also made from glucose units. Inulin is one of the storage form of carbohydrates, which is stored in tubers. So it's an additional information. So indicate the correct group that contains monosaccharide, a disaccharide, and trisaccharide. This is a gate question. So now from the first or second question itself, you can just know because you already studied in this manner. You know what is monosaccharide, you know what is disaccharide and trisaccharide with examples, right? So since, okay, we can assume that you have not studied trisaccharide, but at least you know the monosaccharide and disaccharide by solving the other questions, right? So then you can just go on checking the options and try the elimination method. In case you know half of the things, right? But still you can answer the questions like by guessing or by elimination method. So you know monosaccharide. So whether glucose is a monosaccharide, ribose is a monosaccharide, mannose is a monosaccharide, raffinose is a monosaccharide. So you can start with that. So since they are asked in the proper manner, so the first option, if it is not a monosaccharide, then you can directly eliminate that option as an answer, right? So here glucose is definitely a monosaccharide. So still your A can be answer. Ribose is a monosaccharide. So still B can be an answer. Mannose is also a monosaccharide. But raffinose is a trisaccharide. So it is basically considered as an oligosaccharide. So since this is not a monosaccharide, that is trisaccharide. So option D is removed. So then if you see option A and B, so since I told mannose is also a monosaccharide, this is reflected in the last of the option 1. So this is a monosaccharide too. So, but the third one should be a trisaccharide. So this option is also eliminated. Then remains these two, and lactose definitely is not a trisaccharide. So this is also eliminated. So since all the three options A, C, D is removed, is eliminated, then the right answer will definitely be. So this is the ribose, it's a monosaccharide, lactose is definitely a disaccharide, and raffinose, as we know, it's a trisaccharide. So by using this elimination method, if you know one or two things from the question, you can still able to answer it. So this was all about explanation of the method. I hope this will help you to make notes just by solving the MCQs. And this notes is particularly very important because if you don't have a short notes made with your own handwriting, it will be very difficult to study or revise in the last moment. So here are 5 questions which you can solve, and let me know the answers in the comment section. I'll also post the right answers for these in the coming week. So remember to solve these 5 questions in the similar way that we discussed today. So by solving this, you will be able to learn these many things, that is about the dietary fibers, their function, example structures, cellulose, their occurrence, structures and reactions, and many of the tests, detection for carbohydrates, and many other process or the structural transformation that takes place in carbohydrates, which are really important in food industries, reducing or non-reducing sugar, the difference, and what are the tests to differentiate between these two. So these many things you will learn from these 5 questions if you're following the method that I have told you today. So here are few related videos to carbohydrates. There are 3 parts that is being uploaded in this channel, and also the hydrocolloids, which has a huge application in the food industry. Do watch these videos in your free time, and don't forget to keep a pen and paper with you while you're watching these videos. And trust me, these are not a long lectures. It is just, I think, less than 30 minutes of video each, and you can just learn this by sitting 15-20 minutes and make your notes while you're watching the video. So do follow Food Feeds on Telegram channel as well as the Instagram channel for frequent updates. And do share it with your friends, juniors, seniors. It will take less than a minute to share Food Feeds channel with others. Please do it. It will boost our confidence and it will help me to make more videos. Your opinion regarding the videos and suggestions for future videos are welcomed. Hope to see you in the next video as well. So if you haven't subscribed the channel yet, please do it and hit the bell icon so that whenever there is a new video uploaded on this particular channel, you will get notified about it and you won't miss any of the information that is provided through this channel. Happy learning. See you in the next video. Thank you.